One of the things I love most about career is that there is no set routine. I've got my hands in so many different parts of the company and so many different parts of the process that there is no actual routine. But one of the things I'd like to do every day, no matter what I'm doing, is try to taste through every beer in the house. And we're talking about a sip. We're talking about coating your tongue beer. And I taste through them just to know that last night everything went according to Hoyle, and it will be again today.
All seven and we'll watch them fall.
Royal Docks, we have four plants, four locations. And then we have a food truck and a beer truck. So really, we have six business units. Um, and each one of those is so vastly different than the others that there is no real typical day because this is like the creative hub of the company. Sometimes it's brewing intensive and we're bringing in raw materials and we're brewing every day, and somebody's filtering, somebody else is transferring, getting ready for a canning run. So there's nothing really typical about it other than a few things that get done every day no matter what. And when I say we, it's the whole staff. I like to involve everybody in those things because if they don't know what's going on outside, they're not going to do as good of a job inside as they can. And B, that's part of the fun of this industry. It's not, there's a vow of poverty here. Nobody here is getting rich. People don't become a brewer because they find like that's the best way to make a whole lot of money. They do it because they're into it, because there's something about the craft that charges them up. And so I make sure that they all get a taste of the fun stuff as well as the getting wet socks every day, cleaning tanks, as the job is mostly cleaning. So I started brewing professionally around 1992, late 1992. Right here in Canton, there was a place called the Canton Brewing Company. They were opening up. I actually met with the guy just to sell him a couple of bottles. Told me what his plans were. They were a little off center. I think I convinced him that I knew something about it, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come down here and do this with me?" And so for I don't know about a year, we worked on Canton Brewing Company together. Now, during that, the Canton Repository did an article about me, Meet the Brewmaster at Canton Brewing Company. In that article, it mentioned 5 other breweries that were trying to start in Stark County. I knew all of them except for this last one. It was Royal Docks Brewing Company, and when I Googled it, it was clear to me that there was something wrong because this guy was clearly in Great Britain. The Royal Docks are in London. His Facebook page had pictures of him at the Great British Beer Festival. But I reached out to him anyway and said, "Hey, this article came out, and if you're really coming to Stark County, we should get together and have a beer." Well, I don't know. A few weeks later, I did meet with him, John Bikus, and we had a couple of beers at Winking Lizard, and we decided to do this thing together. And that's really where Royal Docks came from. It sort of came from his mind because he was he lived in the Royal Docks neighborhood, whereas I'm an Anglophile and I did some work and wrote some books on British beer, and so I knew where he was coming from with the idea of pub culture, using beer as an instrument to bring people together. The beer became a catalyst for social lubrication, right? Just bringing the community together, and I'm all about that. So that's why I'm here, and that's why we did this thing. What most of my time anymore, and the thing I love most about it is telling the story of a beer. And every beer that we've done here that has been successful, there's maybe been 2 beers that somebody said, "Hey, you should do a X, an alt beer or a Kolsch," and they come out good, but they don't come out with like real character. Every beer that we've done that we're known for, there's a story behind. Like for instance, our first 2 beers, the first beer we ever won a GABF medal for was just Pendragon. I was in, um, I was actually at the Eccentric Cafe in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I was reading Layamon's The Brute, which is a 12th century monk who wrote this, um, supposed history of Great Britain. And in it, there's this little passage talking about how the Myrddin, who became Merlin, the magician, gave to King Arthur's father, Uther Pendragon, 2 magical ales. One was for his own troops to give them the strength of the red dragon. The other was for his enemies to make them tangle their feet, befuddle their minds. Those were our 2 first beers, Tanglefoot and Pendragon. And it came out of, something I found interesting somewhere else. And it's that story that I love to tell. Because of that, I do all of the can designs. I do all of the writing. I'm responsible for the website, however good or bad that is. Basically, all the stories is what I do. And it's probably what I enjoy the most about making beer is how beer is a vehicle to tell a story. There was a while where I was like one of the winningest brewers at the Great American Beer Festival. I have, I think, 13 medals total, which is nothing now. Fathead's Mac Hole has he gets 13 medals before he wakes up. He's an unbelievably winning brewer. I don't know. I think honestly, and I know this is going to sound corny, but really the biggest accomplishment or the best thing that I got out of this career is the people that I know, the friends I have, the people, like Tim Raster, right? I mean, I've known this guy 30 years. I always call him my beer dad. And, I call him and invite him to a little soiree, a little get together because we're releasing a Pilsner, and he shows up. These are close, good friends, and they're the people that I can always call when I have a question that I can't answer myself. And it's a really cool industry that way. Yeah. I mean, so, being a brewer most of my adult life has obviously paid some of my bills, right? It's kept food on the table. It's again it's not a job to get rich. I'm lucky enough to have found a profession that doesn't feel like work. And I know that's another saying, if you find something you love, you'll never work a day. Well, it's so true. All the time I walk around here, like when I have really bad days, I think to myself, wow, I'm doing something that every day I got a doctor who comes in, or an engineer, and these guys have, tons of money. They live here in Jackson. They are just loaded. And they say, man, when I retire, this is what I want to do. I want to start a brewery. And I've gotten to do that for 30 years. Do I wake up every morning and my eyes are bright open and I just cannot wait to meet the day? No. However, I do get a little joy brought into my life every day.